Hello and welcome to the Alpha Edge Podcast, the show for men over 50 who refuse to fade out, slow down, play small, or settle for average. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert, coach, and founder of the Alpha Edge, and I am here to help you get and stay strong in every dimension of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, morally, and spiritually. You're here because you're ready to reclaim your power, to own your masculinity, and lead your life with strength and purpose. If you're ready to sharpen your edge, revive your drive, and lead like a man who's built for more, you're in the right place. All right, men, let's get after it. All right, men, here we go. I have been reading through 1 Corinthians here this week, and there is a passage in 1 Corinthians that's just been echoing in my heart all week, and it's from 1 Corinthians 16:13, and it says, "Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong." Now, that's the NIV, the New International Version, which is the Bible that I read, but I really like the translation from the ESV, the English Standard Version of this passage. That one reads this way. It says, "Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong." Just 12 powerful words, but packed inside them is a battle plan for every man who wants to live with strength, conviction, and purpose. But the problem is most men today are not living this way. We've drifted. We've become distracted, domesticated, and disconnected from the mission that God has designed us for. We are not, in fact, watchful. We're distracted. We are not standing firm. We're bending to culture. We are not acting like men. We're acting like boys. And we're not strong. We're soft. We're living in a world full of grown males who've never become men. These guys chase comfort over calling, pleasure over purpose. They scroll while their families starve for their leadership. They build their bodies but neglect their souls. They fill their days with noise, but they can't stand the silence where God speaks. And this, guys, is killing us. Because when a man drifts spiritually, everything he leads drifts with him. His marriage, his family, his community, his legacy. The Apostle Paul didn't write those words as a suggestion. They're a command, a call to arms, a rally cry for men who are tired of living passive, purposeful lives. This verse lays out a blueprint for spiritual strength. 4 short phrases that, if they're lived out, can transform not just your faith, but your entire life. So today I want to break down what it means to be watchful, to stand firm in the faith, to act like men, and to be strong. Because the world doesn't need any more men who drift. It needs men who stand. Now, before we dive into this verse piece by piece, I want to remind you that here at the Alpha Edge, we talk about holistic strength all the time. That's what we care about, because true masculinity isn't just one-dimensional. I mean, you can be jacked but spiritually empty. You can be mentally sharp but morally weak. You could be emotionally intelligent but maybe spiritually blind. So strength is more than just muscle. It's mastery. It's mastery of your body, your mind, and your spirit. That's why we talk about the 5 pillars of manly strength. Number 1, physical strength, the ability to discipline your body, to move, to build, to protect. Number 2, mental strength, the ability to think clearly and reject the lies of this world. Number 3 is emotional strength, the ability to remain calm, steady, and grounded when life hits hard. Number 4, moral strength. This is the ability to stand for what's right even when it costs you. And then finally, number 5, spiritual strength, that ability to stay aligned with God's truth, to fight the unseen battles, and to walk in faith even when the path isn't crystal clear. Now, each of these pillars support the others, but today I really want to talk about developing spiritual strength, because if your spirit's weak, every other pillar is going to eventually crumble. That's why Paul's command in 1 Corinthians 16:13 is so critical. He's calling us back to spiritual leadership, starting with ourselves. So let's break this down. 4 commands, 4 pillars of spiritual warfare, 4 ways to build unshakable strength. And let's start with the first one, be watchful. So that's the first command in Paul's charge. It is simple, but it's powerful. It just says 2 words, be watchful. Other translations say be on your guard, but the Greek word here, it means to stay awake, to be alert, to remain vigilant. And that's where most men today have already fallen asleep. We live in a generation that is spiritually sedated. Men are not watchful, they're distracted. They've traded vigilance for convenience, awareness for amusement. The enemy doesn't have to destroy most men, it just has to distract them. A little compromise here, a little numbness there, endless scrolling, endless noise, endless comfort, and before long, a man's eyes are open, but his soul is sound asleep. He's not leading his family, he's just reacting to life. He's not guarding his heart, he's letting anything and everything in. He's not standing watch, he's wandering aimlessly. But Scripture calls us to be watchmen, to keep our eyes open, and not just to the world around us, but to the condition of our own hearts. Being watchful means you don't coast. You don't live on autopilot. You understand that there's a war going on, and it's not out there somewhere. It's right here. It's in your thoughts, your habits. It's in your household. Guys, if you are not intentional, the enemy will plant weeds in your garden. He'll whisper lies into your mind. He'll feed your ego, your lust, your pride, anything to keep you from seeing clearly. That's why awareness is the first step to spiritual strength. You can't fight what you won't face. You can't guard what you won't acknowledge, and you can't lead if you're not awake. So men, be watchful. Watch your thoughts, watch your words, watch the gates of your heart and your home. Be the man on the wall. He's alert, steady, and ready, because the moment you let your guard down, the drift begins. Now, the second command in Paul's charge is this: stand firm in the faith. Notice that he doesn't say stand firm in your feelings. He doesn't say stand firm in what's popular. He says stand firm in the faith. That means your foundation isn't built on shifting sands. It's built on truth. And if there's one thing our culture hates right now, it's truth. Everything is relative. Everyone has their truth. We're told that conviction is closed-mindedness, that certainty is arrogance, and that faith is foolish. And so men drift. They doubt. They bend, and they go along to get along. They trade conviction for acceptance. But real men, godly men, stand firm. Faith isn't something you feel, it's something you stand on. It's not about goosebumps during worship, it's about obedience in the trenches. When Paul wrote these words, he was surrounded by a culture hostile to truth. Rome was brutal, Corinth was corrupt, yet he said stand firm. Don't flinch, don't compromise, don't be moved. To stand firm means you've decided ahead of time. When pressure comes, I won't bow. When temptation whispers, I won't break. When culture mocks me, I won't move. Faith is what anchors you when the storm hits. It's the difference between being a reed that sways and an oak that stands. And here's the truth. If you don't stand firm in the faith, you'll fall for any faith. The faith of comfort, the faith of self, the faith of popularity. But the man who stands firm in faith doesn't just survive, he leads. He becomes a lighthouse in the fog, a steady presence in a shaking world. So ask yourself, what is your foundation? What truth are you standing on when life shakes? Because if you are not rooted in God's word, you're going to be swept away by the world's lies. Stand firm, stand tall, stand true, because weak faith makes weak men. But a man who stands firm in the faith, he becomes unshakable. All right, so next up is the third command in Paul's charge, and it's this: act like men. In Greek, this phrase literally means to conduct oneself with courage and strength. So this isn't a call to arrogance. It's not about chest-thumping bravado. It's a call to courageous manhood. Paul is saying, stop shrinking, stop hesitating, step up, take responsibility, lead, because masculinity, lived right, is not toxic. It's sacrificial. It's not domination. It's devotion. A real man doesn't run away from responsibility. He runs towards it. He doesn't avoid hard things. He embraces them. He doesn't whine about how dark the world is. He lights a torch and he walks into it. But guys, look around. How many men today are truly acting like men? We've got grown males who've never matured past adolescence. They're physically old but spiritually childish, chasing pleasure, dodging responsibility, blaming others. They play at life but they don't lead it. And that's because they've lost the courage to be men. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it's doing what's right in spite of the fear. It's standing up for your family when culture mocks you. It's telling the truth when lies are way easier. It's pursuing purity in a world that profits off your weakness. When Paul says act like men, he's calling you into a fight, not with your fists, but with your faith. You're called to be a protector, not just of your home and your family, but of your soul. You're called to be a provider, not just of bread, but of truth and presence. And you're called to be a priest, to intercede for your family and lead them to Christ. And look, men, that takes courage. Courage to say no when others say yes. Courage to walk alone if you must. Courage to face your own sin, to repent, and to grow. We live in an age where comfort is king, but comfort has never made a man. Courage does. So act like men, not boys, not consumers, not victims. Men. The world doesn't need any more followers. It needs some leaders. It doesn't need any more complainers. It needs warriors. So wherever you've been passive, wherever you've hesitated, it's time to rise up. This is your command. Act like a man. All right. And then finally, we get to the final command in Paul's charge, and it's simply this: be strong. This isn't redundancy. After we have watched and stood firm and acted courageously, then we're called to strength, spiritual, internal, enduring strength. But what does it really mean to be strong as a man of faith? So I've got 5 things here I want to share with you here. First up is strength is something more than just muscle. Being strong in this context is not about physical power or a display of toughness. It's about resilience, the capacity to endure, recover, to stand when everything inside you wants to quit. The Christian journey is full of seasons that test strength: disappointment, loss, temptation, attack, doubt. The call isn't to never fall, it's to rise again and again and again. The Bible affirms that resilience is a part of our calling. Number 2, strength is rooted in God. Your strength is not your own. It flows from the Lord, from the Spirit, from truth. We lean into His supply, not our own. Paul says in Ephesians, "Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of His might." And then Isaiah 41:10 says, "I will strengthen you. I will uphold you." And then Philippians 4:13 reminds us, "I can do all things through Him who strengthens me." Strength then is an act of dependence, not independence. Number 3, strength is forged by trial. Look, resilience is not given in comfortable conditions. Strength isn't shaped while you're on your sofa. It's shaped in the furnace of suffering. James says, "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial." And Proverbs reminds us, though the righteous may fall 7 times, they rise again. Look, every hardship, every wound, every betrayal is an opportunity to test your resolve and to prove God's faithfulness. The strong man doesn't flee when pain comes. He plants his feet. Number 4, strength is expressed in persistence. To be strong means to endure when fatigue sets in, to refuse the easy exit, to carry on when your spirit is weary. Guys, you're going to get tired. You're going to get discouraged. You're going to be tempted. You're going to be tempted to quit. But strength is not the absence of weariness. Strength is the persistence when the weariness strikes. And number 5, finally, strength is a shield and a force. A strong man protects. He protects his faith. He protects his family and his integrity. He is not passive under assault. He stands firm. He defends what's true, and he advances in the path that God has laid out in front of him. When you are strong, you don't just survive, you influence. You impact your world. So there it is. Be watchful, stand firm, act like men, be strong. These commands are not optional. They are the blueprint for spiritual strength. When a man embodies vigilance, conviction, courage, and resilience, he becomes more than a participant. He becomes a warrior, a leader, a light in the darkness. All right, let's bring this all together here. We've walked through Paul's 4 commands. We're going to be watchful. We're going to stand firm in the faith. We are going to be courageous and act like men, and we are going to be strong. Each one builds on the other. Watchfulness keeps you alert to the enemy. Faith keeps you grounded in truth. Courage moves you into action, and strength keeps you standing while the battle rages all around you. This is the blueprint for spiritual manhood, the operating system for warriors of God. See, when a man lives this verse out, everything changes. He stops drifting. He stops reacting. He starts leading with purpose, clarity, and power. Because this world doesn't need any more men who play it safe. It needs men who are awake, men who are grounded, men who are brave, men who are strong, men who walk into the fight, not to dominate, but to protect, not to conquer others, but to conquer self, not to chase comfort, but to pursue calling. And that's what it means to be a spiritual warrior. A spiritual warrior is watchful, guarding his heart and his household. He's faithful. He's anchored to truth when the world is going bananas all around him. And he's courageous, acting with integrity when others are shrinking back. And he is strong, not because life is easy, but because he refuses to quit. That kind of man is dangerous, not because he's violent, but because he's virtuous. He's not swayed by culture. He's not seduced by comfort, and he's not ruled by fear. He stands in the storm, he carries light into darkness, and he leads his family with love, strength, and conviction. And that's what you were made for. So write this creed on your heart. I will be watchful. I will stand firm in the faith. I will act like a man. I will be strong. Say it when you wake. Say it when you're tempted. Say it when you're tired. Because when you live this creed, you become the man God designed you to be. Not just strong in body, but strong in spirit. Not just a believer, but a builder. Not just a male, but a man. This is your call. This is your code. This is your creed. All right, guys. So there you go. The question is now, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to live this out? Because the world doesn't need more men to nod along at Sunday sermons. It needs men who embody them. Men who walk into Mondays with their eyes wide open. Men who guard their hearts, lead their families, and refuse to drift through life half awake. Every day you're being shaped by your habits, your choices, your courage, or your compromise. Every day you're either standing firm or you're sliding back. Every day you're either acting like a man or you're avoiding the weight of that call. So this week I want to challenge you. Live this verse. Pray it. Memorize it. Meditate on it. Let it be the lens through which you see your world. When you're tempted, be watchful. When you're pressured, stand firm. When you're afraid, act like a man. And when you're weary, be strong. You are not just another guy on this planet. You're a part of God's army. You are a warrior of faith, a leader in your home, a beacon in this dark world. So stand tall, lead with conviction, live with courage. The world's going to shake, but you don't have to because your foundation is Christ. And when you live like this, when you're watchful, faithful, courageous, and strong, you won't just change your life, you'll change your legacy. So guys, rise up. The battle is real. The call is clear. Be watchful. Stand firm in the faith. Act like a man. Be strong. Now get out there and go live it. And guys, if this message spoke to you today, don't keep it to yourself. We live in a world full of distracted, drifting men, and sometimes all it takes is one spark, one verse, one conversation to wake a man up. So share this episode with another man who needs it, a friend, a brother, a son, a coworker, someone you know who's been feeling lost, stuck, or soft, and remind him you were made for more. Because we rise together. And that's what the Alpha Edge Brotherhood is all about. Men sharpening men, calling each other higher, standing firm while the world shakes. So if you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed to this podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's message, do me a favor and leave a quick rating or review. It helps more men find this movement and join in the fight. Now, go live strong this week. Watchful, faithful, courageous, and unshakable. Okay, men, that's our show for this week. Don't forget to download our free guide titled How to Raise Your Testosterone Naturally. You can find the download link in the show notes for this episode on whatever app you're listening to this podcast on. If you've enjoyed today's show, here are 3 ways you can support us. Number 1, share this episode with a friend. Number 2, make sure to like and follow this show, and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Number 3, give us a follow over at Instagram. We're at Alpha Edge Army. So that's Alpha Edge Army all run together. I really appreciate you men taking the time to listen. And until next week, stay strong.